before the JFK interview with Oliver Stone, Matt Taibbi and Katie Halper revisit the whole Lauren Boebert's comments and her apology after that towards Ilhan Omar. So I mean, everybody's seen it.
Fine. So we only had one floor to go, and I was like, do I say it or not? I looked over, and I said, oh, look, the Jihad Squad decided to show up for work today. Don't worry, it's just her staffers on Twitter that talk for her. She's not tough in person.
Everyone, this is Lauren with a quick update on a phone call I had today with squad member Ilhan Omar. I had reached out to her Friday, and 3 days later, I was able to connect with her on the phone because I wanted to let her know directly that I had reflected on my previous remarks. Now, as a strong Christian woman who values faith deeply, I never want anything I say to offend someone's religion. So I told her
Can
that.
you stop here for a second?
Even after
I never want anyone to think that I've offended someone's religion. You just got up in a public forum and basically said that anybody who's Muslim is a terror threat.
Suicide bomber, yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And the Jihad Squad, yeah.
Yeah.
she said that she still wanted a public apology because what I had done wasn't good enough. So I reiterated to her what I had just said. She kept asking for a public apology. So I told Ilhan Omar that she should make a public apology to the American people for her anti-American, anti-Semitic, anti-police rhetoric. She continued to press, and I continued to press back. And then Representative Omar hung up on me. Rejecting an apology and hanging up on someone is part of cancel culture 101 and a pillar of the Democrat Party. Make no mistake, I will continue to fearlessly put America first, never sympathizing with terrorists. Unfortunately, Ilhan can't say the same thing, and our country is worse off for it.
And I mean, personally, like, I wasn't shocked or surprised, but, you know, it's just so repulsive, you know, pretty much the things that she's saying. It's just like, yeah, I don't know. That's kind of the word that came to my mind. But then Matt Taibbi's reaction is also very interesting to talk about. But I don't know if you have anything else about the actual, you know, back and forth.
Yeah, I think she's a really, really repulsive human being. And like, you know, you had these good old racists like Barry Goldwater, that at least they had a class about their racism. This goddamn trash, low-level, sixth-rate. Jesus.
I mean,
sorry, go ahead.
She's 34, which, I mean, because when you listen to her excuse, it also sounds like it's a 15 or 16-year-old at best kind of talking. And at least she's 34. I thought she was maybe 44. Not that 34 is an excuse. I mean, you've been
that's I actually, when I googled her, it came out on the Wikipedia thing. Yeah. She's 34, and it made me so goddamn sad. That, can you imagine, this 34 years old is a congressperson, and I, like a lot of people, including myself, about the same age, haven't achieved shit. And in a way, this complete dumbass, like a complete somebody who, in my view, should be probably in a special care somewhere, because she can't, I mean, act like, I don't know what you have to do to be put in a straitjacket in an asylum. I really don't know at this point, because Trump and Kanye West are not in one. So, but I would say she's as an individual, I think she's a repulsive human being, especially, as I'm sure everybody knows, with the following, like, she called to apologize, but she refused to do it publicly or in a correct way, if I'm not mistaken. Although I don't think she should apologize, or I'm glad this happened, though. I'm glad that, you know, her real self is out there.
Yeah. And I mean, will that hurt her politically?
And I don't think so, but I'm glad to know what kind of an animal she is.
Yeah, and I mean, as Matt
no
Taibbi,
disrespect to animals, no disrespect to any animal.
Yeah, seriously. And as Matt Taibbi and Katie Halper pointed out, her jokes barely landed with her own audience / staffer. I think she
They
made
didn't
it
like. It was a
twice.
respectful
Yeah.
ha 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 ha.
And yeah, I mean,
And by the way, did you see the audience? A bunch of goddamn like bikers and.
I mean, yeah, I don't even want to say anything bad about them because they seem to
Yeah, to be fair,
realize
yeah, we
there
don't
was
know.
something wrong with with what she
No,
was saying.
yeah,
But
I
yeah, you
mean,
say you don't know how people like that are not in straitjacket. I mean, I hope part of it has to be an act because I mean, or that in her day-to-day life she's a bit smarter. If not, she'll get run over by a car within like 2 minutes. I mean, based on like the level of thinking and reasoning she's shown in these
intelligence.
couple of videos. Yeah, and you know, it's so funny, this part. I mean, this is perhaps not surprising, but I wrote she's so full of herself because she didn't say that X or Y is a strong woman. She said that she's a strong woman. Like, who says that about themselves? You know, she's like, I'm a strong woman of faith. Like, I mean, you know, you say somebody else is a strong person or this, but no, she
No,
compliments herself as she's giving, like,
no,
you know, her apology.
right-wing people have the the shame part of their brain has been turned off long ago. How can you believe the bullshit they do? But I would say what fascinated me, which we might talk about at the end of the podcast, was that the QAnon documentary I told you about, Into the Storm. She was one of the people who is very briefly featured on that as a politician that sort of came on the wave of like politicians that used QAnon to at least launch their career. And I don't know, I know it's like I'm gonna get into the whole thing, why am I wrong and why I shouldn't feel this way, but I do feel sometimes like, Jesus Christ, I wish we had moved beyond this, like I really felt like sometimes you don't want to admit it, but in your heart, not in your brain, you feel like, oh, we are moved beyond this level of stupidity. And then somebody like this comes along and it's just, oh no, we are still at the same level as we were when we were in caves and drawing.
I think that's kind of the reason. I mean, that's like a perfect like transition to kind of Matt Taibbi, with all his experience and having seen all these people. He's lived longer than us. I mean, I'm sure he's read more about the past than me, and he's been more active. I mean, he was kind of taken aback by this. And he goes on to say that in the video where they're watching the apology, and he goes on to say that, back in the day, they didn't used to do this. And those kind of statements, they always kind of, get my attention with, things that have changed. Before they weren't like that. And, I immediately thought about, well, did Sarah Palin not say kind of similar stuff? I mean, I don't know if she said something exactly, but I mean, when you listen to Lauren Boebert, it just looks like Sarah Palin's talking. And then you were telling me that there are also a lot of other slightly less obvious, perhaps, historical examples that this is just like the modern manifestation of it, or more obvious. Yeah. So what did you make of that comment by Matt Taibbi? I mean, we do think that his headache might have influenced his thinking there.
I love his episodes with a headache because he's just like, oh my God.
Why does he often have a headache?
So many things. But I would say, no, this was the first one and I loved it. I think I haven't seen every episode. But I was just thinking, I don't know. They keep saying, oh, civility, the civility has gone. And then I think back and I remember Obama years with the birther movement, basically implying the first half black president is not really black, or he's not, he's not American.
Yeah.
Then you had Clinton years with the all Lewinsky scandal and the way family values. Newt Gingrich, somebody who's had like 3 different wives, and I think the second one publicly said he wanted me to swing. That's why I divorced him or some shit. Traditional family values. Not to mention the fact that Republican head of the House, I believe, turned out to be a pedophile. Yeah, who had abused children for like 13 years as a wrestling coach. They just, and then even like
but
John
maybe
Quincy Adams back in like 150 years ago, before California, I think, was added to the US. Like they were calling him in the house. They were calling him a hermaphrodite. As by the way, at the time that was considered. I have no problems with anyone who identifies as a hermaphrodite or whatever. But this idea that there was ever civility, or there was ever like look at this when John Adams, for example, introduces sedition laws that you're not allowed to insult the president or former president or something like that. There are all these criminal records of the way people, including some politicians, are talking about Washington, Jefferson, and many others. So I don't know. I think that there was never civility.
Yeah.
Not to mention, by the way, if you've ever seen videos of Korean parliament or Polish parliament or any other parliament except the British one, which people are too old to basically, they just go
yeah. And I guess maybe and like it kind of looked like, I mean, maybe a little bit to Matt Taibbi's defense, I mean, I don't know where she was doing that, but it kind of looked like it's a politician doing stand-up comedy, like based on in that little bit of video, and doing like really terrible stand-up comedy with horrible jokes. So maybe back in the
trying
day,
to do a bit.
Yeah, so maybe back in the day, politicians didn't do stand-up comedy that often or something. I don't know, or maybe they did. I'm just trying to think of aspects of it that were novel, because there was something about it that, even we're still talking about it, although we're not shocked. There was just, like you said, you'd have thought that maybe these particular jokes, at least we'd moved on and, make bad jokes about other people now or something. But she brought back some of the classics, right? Because it had to do with terrorism and being a Muslim too, which is not the most in topic right now.
Look, I don't even, to be honest, not the stupidity or racism or xenophobicness of the jokes. That's not so much the video that she made in the response to their phone call, and that was just like, Jesus Christ, she's making this video. And I'm sure if you go on her Twitter or whatever page, there are loads of people that are right on, sister. Go, you show them. And Jesus Christ, that was more, because I'm sure these type of idiotic, racist, xenophobic jokes goes on. But like, got elected to Congress, and it's probably gonna work in her favor in the end. It's gonna any media attention is good, right?
Exactly. I mean, any press is good press, or like any press is good press. But I mean,
press is a good press.
Yeah. I mean, right now she's been all over TV with this. Sure, maybe she repulsed like 20 people from her base, but she probably gained a few hundred. I mean, I'm just throwing random numbers, but I'm talking about the ratio. So I'm guessing as many people who were possibly disgusted, because this is not the first time too, right? I mean, we saw
she's a regional.
Sorry, I mean, I was almost done with my thoughts. Yeah.
No, go ahead, sir.
No. I was pretty much, I'm just saying, I'm sure this is not the first time that she's made these kind of comments or similar ones. So, I mean, it's not like she became elected by basing herself on a totally different personality, I would assume.
No, you're 100% right. Although I would say she's a congressperson, right? Mm-hmm. She's running in a district, and she might get a more, let's say, maybe national appeal, but I don't know her district, I don't know the makeup, but it all depends on all of that. So she might get damaged locally, but I would think nationally, sadly, I think all of this, including us talking about it, not that thankfully we only have like 1,000 viewers, so thank God, but
yeah,